After driving this vehicle for almost 4 months now, bang for buck, the now new long-range rear-wheel drive Model Y should be your default option when looking for a mid-size SUV. So I'm saying forget that petrol alternative, and now may be the time to sideline that refreshed Tesla Model Y ambition, as it may actually cost more than this very model available today. More on that latter point later. In most cases, most people don't actually need an all-wheel drive long range or performance Model Y, as due to Tesla's change in heart, they no longer actually make you trade prices for range and faster charging speeds as it did before. In fact, this 2025 Tesla Model Y long range rear-wheel drive available today offers the most range at its lowest price ever for that level of range. However, the cheapest time to actually buy a Model Y was actually the quarter before, for which I did try warn some of you before that the deals on offer at that time were insane and temporary. So simply put, the Tesla Model Y long-range rear-wheel drive is a new benchmark vehicle, but critically speaking, why is that then, Adam? Is it just the petrol-like range of 373 WLTP rated range? No, there's way more behind the headline figure that you're missing out on that you may have just glossed over. So let's take the topic of efficiency. This long-range Model Y rear-wheel drive is the most efficient Model Y ever built. I'll be honest with you, based on my experience with my rear-wheel drive Model Y, it's easy to see why this can go further, as I've successfully completed multiple city driving trips that actually surpass 5 miles per kilowatt hour, and a car of this size should not really be doing that. I mean, if you do the numbers against the rated range, that's 5 miles for 7p worth of electricity. The child maths literally speaks for itself, but with the long range rear-wheel drive, this will literally take no prisoners, with it being the highest rated range of any Model Y before and being the most efficient in the process. Now, compare that to a petrol alternative or even other BEVs with bigger battery packs with the same range, and you'll see that pennies per mile for a car of this size. The challenge is, what else really does beat the long range rear-wheel drive Tesla Model Y? Seriously. But if you're thinking, Adam, what you're not saying is petrol range is still higher, and is this Tesla still too expensive, especially with a new and improved Tesla Model Y so heavily rumoured? Is it worth waiting? Well, if you're a first-time Tesla EV owner, these are perfectly valid concerns to have at first sight. Maybe not so much the latter. Anyhow, this video will explain in around 12 minutes why you don't need to be concerned about these points, but primarily why I think this Tesla Model Y is head above shoulders above the alternatives for the average driver. So if this video sounds like an interesting insight, do hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already. Right, let's get deep into the reasons why. So first up, before we get heavily into the details, let's answer the question of why you shouldn't just buy any other petrol car and why you should actually skip it for this tech-filled EV. After all, you know the ins and outs and what to expect from a new petrol car, right? But what is all the hype about it? Well, it's probably the biggest question of them all, but cutting the waffle, like I always try to do most of the time, I personally believe that you should buy this car just totally on merit alone. Like the difference between buying phone A and phone B. Your car should be no different. Everyone should and aim to buy a better car than their current car. So in order to be happy with your purchase, the car purchase has to be the exact same as that phone example. So this video isn't going to be highlighting any environmental factors at all. The Tesla Model Y actually offers you crazy light maintenance requirements, like almost eradicating the annual service requirement, because being stuck in a garage is no fun for anyone, no matter the car. You'll also want a car to be a reliable powerhouse, no hiccups after 1, 2 or 3 years. You'll need it to be a comfortable ride, be fun to drive and serve the purpose of delivering the family requirements A to B, with ideally with it being freakishly cheap to run. And this car unashamedly ticks all those boxes. Now this car also packs even more range and charges faster and becomes even cheaper to run, yet still has the latest suites of FSD hardware and cameras as standard, meaning that even if you just stick with Tesla's free autopilot offering and parking assist, you get hardware that Elon Musk and the Tesla team are actually touting to be the benchmark of full self-driving hardware. Whether that becomes true, respectfully speaking, we are yet to find out. But the fact is that this car does have the latest and the best hardware available from Tesla. But getting back to driving, like we all do currently and love, to the average driver, a 0 to 60 in a Tesla is incredibly addictive, and it doesn't seem to fall away with the length of ownership, so it doesn't falter with age. And at 5.7 seconds up to 60 for a rear-wheel drive SUV, that is going to be no slouch. The gearless automatic experience also means that driving is seamlessly smooth at all speeds. Regenerative braking is unrivaled for braking convenience, and there is a cherry on top as it effectively is generating free mileage for doing so. And by taking your foot off the accelerator, it is simply typical behaviour when you actually want to slow your car down. So it's actually easy and strangely addictive to rely on regenerative braking. Therefore, just because your day-to-day car will be electric doesn't necessarily mean that you drive a milk float. Respectfully, this is a different experience to driving a petrol car, but different does not necessarily mean it's bad or it's worse. And if you're seriously in doubt, I'd highly recommend taking a test drive, and you'll see what a breeze that an electric powered car really is. It definitely still has a fun factor to it. So Adam, why do Teslas have no buttons and have one screen? What's all the rage with the Tesla Model Y being tech-filled? What's the advantage here? Well, this isn't exclusive to the Tesla Model Y, as every Tesla offers this tech-filled experience. But what does this all mean? For me, it's just truly the age of driving something that actually feels like the future. And this starts directly from the buying experience. A car that's brought to you in just a few clicks, similar to ordering a pizza online with a few toppings, it's no different. You then download a Tesla phone app, fill in a few more details, including any finance application, all from the comfort of your sofa without human assistance in most cases, and the process is simple, it's easy to follow with minimal paperwork. It's a car buying experience that's like no other. It does tend to feel a little bit too easy at times. But following collection, that tech-filled experience, that staple of Tesla, also covers the unrivaled usability of the Tesla phone app for features such as remote climate control, Sentry mode viewing, checking charging cost statistics, or even just being your dedicated keyless entry fob. There's no sort of gimmicky plastic fob that you need to carry around with you, just your phone that you never leave the house without. Once you're in the car, the tech-driven experience day to day, it does cover the keyless entry, and it covers the pin to start, for which is just a traditional digit sequence that you put on screen to start the car. Even if your phone is stolen, no pin, no driving. Probably why Teslas aren't really a stolen car of choice. And so you pretty much have everything at your disposal via the screen. Not forgetting that you still have functions controlled and available directly on the stalks and on the steering wheel buttons of the car. And really, I could be here talking all day about the system functionality and how it gets better every other week through software updates, like getting music streaming services like Apple Music and Spotify overnight, and even streaming services like Netflix and Disney. Then we have Sentry mode and built-in dashcam, both of which have actually been paramount in our previous insurance claims. Even speed camera awareness and an average speed monitor during average speed zones that I do particularly find pretty reassuring. Tesla moves at a rate of knots and introduces new and cool features all the damn time, making your car actually feel new every other week, and no other car does that without installing modifications for which the average driver simply does not want to do, let's be honest. Moving on to the range and charging speed of the new Tesla Model Y long range rear-wheel drive. And if you currently drive a petrol motor, you may have range anxiety or fears with EVs, and that's completely normal coming from a petrol car. That range hesitation is more likely down to your current petrol car owning habits. And whilst that sounds strange, what does that even mean? Well, at a more extreme level, the UK's average annual mileage is a measly 5,506 miles per annum, and data from the US Department of Transportation is even higher at around 13,476 miles. And if you use that ambitious 13,476 mile figure, if you convert that to a weekly figure, that's equivalent to driving around 260 miles a week at best. And combine that with the fact that most people, they do have off-road parking at home, and so they can have access to home charging facilities even via your typical home plug socket. That's going to be incredibly useful to everyone at all times. And I mean, these sockets are almost in every home and business on the planet. Between a typical socket, home charger and a supercharger, a charging option is never too far away. So if you're coming from a petrol car, here comes the cheat code to EV ownership and why the cheapest Tesla Model Y means range won't be an issue for most. Your new habit with a 2025 Tesla Model Y will be to charge your car when you want from home. It's simple, it's easy, it's convenient. Every night, just simply hook it up and any missing range is then replenished. It's like a petrol station from home. So the average weekly range of 260 miles, which was that US average, which is incredibly high for us Brits. If you have 373 miles rated range, you have wiggle room doing weekly errands, even without charging every other day from home. But Adam, what about the long range trips? Well, with the car doing all the heavy lifting, you just mark your destination and your car will work out where you should charge. And with its max charging rate being 250 kilowatts, and with this being one of the most efficient Tesla Model Ys you can buy, you'll get to the required charge in the fastest possible time thanks to its max charging speed and efficiency. So going electric doesn't have to be inconvenient even for road trips. So before we move on to the conclusion, I just want to briefly touch on something you really should consider. That is the heavily rumoured refresh of the Tesla Model Y, and that's tipped to be available in 2025 if the rumours are true. Now the whole thing is a crystal ball, no one knows when it's coming. But for me, it is rather simple. There is no guarantee that this new and improved Tesla Model Y will be just as cheap. The cheapest time to buy a Tesla Model Y was actually in Q3. Now it's £2,500 more expensive in the UK at least. But let's consider that they do price it at the very same price. Most consumers, they actually finance their cars, but the rates that Tesla charge will not likely be at 0% APR as they are today, as Tesla will look to boost their margins whilst their production is low. So that will mean likely that it will be higher rates, just like the entry of the Model 3. For which brings me to the all-important question. You can actually get 373 miles rated range, 250 kilowatts top charging speed, and hardware for FSD Suite, and all the sound and suspension improvements Tesla have made over the years. This is the Tesla Model Y built today, and it is a proven and loved gem. And I mean, a refreshed and new Tesla Model Y will inevitably be better, but is it going to be worth the higher interest rate? And how long will you have to wait for it even to be announced? Is it worth the wait? That is the question that you will need to answer yourself. And I'm thinking that I'll actually have a dedicated video on this, on what I'd honestly like to see in a new Tesla Model Y. So to conclude, this is Tesla's base level SUV. And as you've just learned, this delivers that highly anticipated Tesla experience, from range and driving experience to software features, all packed in with amazing utility and storage like every other SUV should do. At current prices, especially in the UK, the value it has to offer is simply too good not to even get a test drive. Try it out, see if this hype is real to you, and if it is, you'll own a car that does not require annual servicing at your garage, and you'll own a car that costs less than 2 pence per mile when it comes to charging costs alone. It really is a freak of nature, and one that should at the very least have a spot on your shortlist of cars to buy in 2024 and going into 2025. So what do you folks think? Do you agree? Is this the benchmark Tesla EV now? Is there any other cars like it? Let me know in the comment section below. Don't forget to subscribe, like the video, do share it with any friends or family that may find it beneficial. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you in the next one. Ciao.